Alright, I wanted to do a quick video on extracting values from an image in Dynamo and using them to adjust some reference points in Revit. We're going to use these values to adjust the Z coordinate. So basically I'm going to start a new conceptual mass in Revit. You can use Vasari if you like. And I'm just going to zoom in a little bit on this because I know my object or my reference points are eventually going to come out there. And then I'm going to go to my add-ins and open up Dynamo. And then I'm going to open up an existing definition that I already have set up. And it's very simple. Basically what we've got, there's the entire definition, is a file path. So you browse and tell it where the file is for the image. The image gets divided into 10 by 10 and sampled at each one of those points. That sample is brought out and put through a color brightness, which gives us a list of numbers. That list is put into a multiply X and Y, so we can adjust the magnitude of those numbers with this number slider. And eventually those number sliders get pumped into the Z, and it's going to control the Z coordinate of some reference points that we're making. So this XYZ has a 0 for X and Y, and then the Z gets throughput from the image, the Z list. And then we have an XYZ grid that has 10 by 10 in the XY, 1 in the Z, and then it starts at 0, 0, 0, and the spacing is set to 1. Okay. Now, that Z coordinate gets put in, that XYZ with the Z added on gets put in as the A, that XYZ gets put in as the B, and then we get the output, and it makes reference points, and we can watch it both list-wise and 3D. So let's run it. So if I run it, it goes and gets that image, samples it, puts all that information through, and if we come in and take a look, zoom to fit, you can see it's creating that series of points and reference of points here. And then if I minimize Dynamo and come into Revit, there's that series of points there. So you get them both. Now, let's come in and take a look at the information that's being fed out of that image. So I'm just going to come up and watch. We're going to watch over here. And if we go directly from the image into the watch and run, you'll see that we're getting RGB values, right? And then if we go from color brightness into the watch and run it, it collapses that into a list of color brightness that varies from 1 to 0 based on white or black. So that's our single list that gets fed into that multiplier and eventually becomes the Z list that gets added in to the XY and then created out there. So you can adjust several things. So we could come in and change this number slider up, and if we come in and take a look at this guy and rerun it, you see that my Z's get larger, and the same thing happens here in the Revit as well. Alright. The other thing that you could do, among many things, you could add other options in here, is you could come in and change the sampling. Let's change that sampling to 20. Right, and we could go ahead and change also our grid to 20. Right, and then if we come in, and rerun this, the grid gets bigger and it samples more. Same thing happens in Revit. Right, there it is. So one last thing, of course, that you can do is you can update the image. So if I come in and browse, I can go get, let's just go to C, storage, shared materials, gradients. I can go get another image. Here's the one that we're using. I could use this one, which is basically similar to the opposite of it. Click open, and then if we go back, take a look at this guy and run it, it's going to invert that pretty much. And then if we look at the Revit, you also get an invert of that one as well. So maybe next time we'll look at how you can control maybe a parameter on an adaptive component with this. Alright,